Hello, everyone. I'm so excited for you all to be here. Hello, and welcome to the 19th episode of the Well Projects A Girl Like Me Live, which is an interactive live streaming series advancing health and wellness discussions and education among women living with and vulnerable to HIV. Monthly, ICC will sit down with different co hosts to chat about key topics in our communities. In today's episode, I'm sitting talking to Michelle and Raven Lopez, Karen and Lynette Trawick, and my own mother, Carol, as we discuss motherhood and HIV diagnosis. You know that in the month of May, we celebrate Mother's Day, but this is something that we do daily. So I'm so grateful for you all to be with us. I'm going to start with Raven since you're next to me. Could you just introduce yourself? Who are you?
Hello, everyone, and Cece, thank you for once again. My name is Raven Lopez. I'm gonna be 32 next month. Um, I am a mom. I am a mom of a 6-year-old boy. Um, I was born HIV positive at the age of 6 years old. That's when I got my diagnosis of fully understanding what HIV was. And my mom would tell you, her story of, her disclosing to me. But, me finding out that I was HIV positive didn't stop me. Like, it made me like a curious kid to jump up and want to get to know more. And during out the interview, you guys would get to know more. And I just hope that you guys get to learn something out of this, and I'm really happy to be on this panel today.
Aw. So then it's only right that we go over to Michelle.
Hello and good afternoon to each and everyone that's here with us. As Stacey said, my name is Michelle Lopez. My pronouns are she and her. Presently, I'm 55. I'm the mom of the wonderful young lady that just spoke to everyone there, Raven Lopez. I work as a navigator for a wonderful initiative here in New York at SUNY Downstate Hospital. It's called the Be Into Health initiative, and what that is, it's a whole nuance, and it's part of my celebration because I get the opportunity to help individuals like myself, 50 and over, aging with HIV, and we are creating new standards of care for individuals aging with HIV. And I'll speak more in depth because I'm a storyteller, so I'm going to be mindful of everyone else that's here. Thank you.
And I love your stories. I wish I could adopt some of the accent y'all got up there. Okay, we're just going down around doing intros. So Lynette, if you could introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Lynette Trawick, and I don't know exactly what you wanted in the intro, but I'm the founder of IMU Inc., which serves women who are living with HIV, mainly between the ages of 25 and 45 years old. We are also beginning programming for high school students, just attacking prevention from a very unique perspective. So yeah, that's a little about me. Of course, you'll hear more a little later on.
All right, Karen.
Hi, everyone. My name is Karen Trawick. I am Lynette Trawick's mother-in-law. Um, beautiful young woman. And I was so blessed to have had my son introduce her to me years ago. That was before they were married. So I'm blessed to be in her presence and for you guys to have invited me. And we're all open books because that's the way Lynette made me. So whatever, I'm here for everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me.
All right, I'm gonna act like I don't know her. Carol, who are you?
Yes, good afternoon. I am Carol Coleman. I am the mother of Sierra CC Coleman. Sierra, I have 3 children, and Sierra is my first child. She is my heart. She is my soul, and she is an inspiration to myself and the family. Sierra was diagnosed, she says 20, but I believe it was 19. Anyway, she was diagnosed, and the family was diagnosed. You understand? And we just surrounded her with love and support. We never ostracized her. We never pushed her away because she is a beautiful young lady,
Yes,
and
she is.
and and she took advantage of that diagnosis, and she's just a lovely person. She's a lovely person.
Well,
But
thank
one
you.
thing I can say, excuse me, Sierra, HIV didn't have her. She has it.
Mm. Yeah.
Thank you. And mom, we're not going to do this. I was diagnosed when I was 20. It was 2008, the year, it was June. So, but I absolutely love what you said. Like, that's the reason why an episode like this is so important. When I was diagnosed, it wasn't just me that was diagnosed at this time. And, Michelle, she, a woman living with HIV and then gave birth to a child who's also living with HIV. Or, situations that you may not think of in a moment. Lynette's diagnosed and she's one day going to have to disclose to her future husband. And then, now this diagnosis has an impact on, someone like Cameron, the mother in love, which I love that y'all refer to each other in those terms. HIV definitely does impact more than just the person who has been diagnosed. So, Michelle, I would like to talk to you all first. So, what did it feel like knowing that you had transmitted the virus to your daughter, and how has that impacted y'all's relationship?
Okay.
Has it?
Wow. First, I got to say, I was 24 when I got this diagnosis. The other thing about me, and I'll be remiss if I don't say that, I am an immigrant. I still do not have my citizenship. I'm an immigrant from the wonderful island of Trinidad and Tobago via Venezuela.
Oh,
My dad is Venezuelan, so I got some of that Hispanic culture and that muy caliente. That's what I say. They got me hot. But here I am, 24, in New York, and all I knew about HIV or AIDS, well, back then it was AIDS, everybody just talking about AIDS. I just knew all my gay male friends were coming down with this disease. Back in Trinidad when I was 13, my cousin died, and he died from this disease that he got in America while he was living, and that disease caused him, to die. So it was never explained. So my allotment with HIV and AIDS was gay men. So here I am at 24, and the reason why I actually got tested, got diagnosed, I was living in a horrible domestic violence situation, severely being battered, and at the time, Raven was 9 months old. And this particular night, it was one of the worst beating I had gotten from this man, but it was the best because here I am today. I wrapped Raven in a blanket because I remember picking something up, hitting him in the head, and I just ran and grabbed her, wrapped her in a blanket, got to the train station, and just started riding the train. My spirituality means a lot and something that I hold on to this day. And when I got on that train, people is looking at you. I had some blood running down my face. And I remember this one lady, she's like, "Oh, miss, what's going on?" And, so I semi cleaned up and I kept switching trains. But while I'm switching trains, I'm praying. And I eventually got to a train because my journey started from Queens, New York. That's where I was living with that person. And my journey got me where a train. I eventually got into Brooklyn, and I would never forget it. I was on the number 2 train, switched on that train. And while I'm sitting there with this baby in this blanket, I'm crying, I'm praying. And I looked up and I saw an ad, and the ad spoke to me. The ad seriously says, if you are a woman and you're experiencing domestic violence, substance use, if you're an undocumented immigrant, I was like, oh my God, call this number and we can help you. What did I do? I got off the train. And when I got off the train, I was literally at the corner. It's relevant for me to tell you guys this. I got off at the corner of, it was Flatbush Avenue and Nevin Street. And I called the number. And to this day, I always thank that organization because it wasn't a voicemail. A real voice answered the phone, and I broke down. And I just started crying. And it was a nurse. She told me her name was Lily Chen. And I just started telling her the things that's been going on with me being an immigrant. And she said, calm down, because I was just all over the place. And then she said to me, Miss, where are you right now? We can help you. And I said to her, I said, I'm in Brooklyn and I'm standing at the corner of Flatbush Avenue and Nevin Street. And I just heard the person gasp. She was like, and I said, oh my God, miss. I said, did I say something wrong? I'm sorry. And she said, no. She said, you are 3 minutes away from where I'm at. She said, I want you to turn and face east and I want you to walk in. She said, it's going to be 5 blocks. She said, but when you walk to that 5 blocks, you're going to come to a medical center and it's going to say CFPC. That's where I'm at. And I got down there. And when I got there, a group of people was waiting to greet me. That same day was when, after the information I shared with them, I was offered, we can give you a full physical because this was a local federally qualified health center. And they had recently gotten funded to do an initiative to get women tested, to get women into care, but they were looking for, again, the marginalized woman. And here I am. Here I was. Walked in there, got tested. I even, because of the physical I was given, I had to be treated for gonorrhea. The man, my batterer, had infected me with gonorrhea, and I didn't even know, and I was treated for it. But me and this child, we both got tested, and what was told to me, they're going to do a special test on her, which was a PCR test, because back in those days, this was, 90, early 91, late 90s, early 91. In fact, I'm sorry. And we had to wait 2 weeks. So we were placed in a homeless shelter. That night after the whole physical and everything that was done, because I literally spent all day at that facility. And 2 weeks being placed in that shelter, that's when you got your results. We didn't have the rapid test. It came back to me that both myself and the baby and my daughter were HIV positive. And I have to say, at 24, a young Black woman, I didn't get the memo. I didn't have the memo. I didn't have the directives. How do you raise a child born with HIV? This was foreign to me. So stay tuned for the rest. I hope I gave you enough there that we can proceed.
Now it makes me want to finish reading the book. So, because I know, I know most of the people on this call, there were so many themes that you mentioned in your own story that kind of overlap, with the stories of others. I know that Lynette has experienced some domestic violence. My mom, I've witnessed it myself, experienced that. And, that saying that my therapist said that time, how HIV is often a symptom of what is going on. Like it's at the tip of the iceberg, but there are so many other factors at the beginning or at the bottom that lead us there. And I'm recognizing so much of that here. So then, Michelle, we get to Raven. Raven, do you remember the moment when you found out that you was living with HIV?
Yes, I definitely do. I was 6 years old. I was at a doctor's appointment, and that morning I remember my mom dressed me up real cute. Like I remember, and we went to the doctor, Bronx Lebanon Hospital, and you know how they have like a playroom when with your kid, you're waiting for the doctor to let your kids play like in a play area. So we're sitting in the play area, and I see the nurse and I see the doctor. They walk past the room and they told my mom to come, but they told me to wait. So I'm like, okay. I wait in the playroom. So I guess I'm now that I'm older, I'm saying I'm playing out the story. I said maybe they probably preparing my mom for her to tell me. So she sits in the doctor's office. So they call me. They're like, Raven. So while I'm walking, I start seeing my mom. I see my mom crying. So I'm like, Mommy, I didn't steal any toys. Like I didn't take any toys from the playroom. I'm sorry. Like I didn't know what I did because I see my mom crying. I didn't know if she got in trouble because they all I seen was that they took my mom out the room and now I'm walking and she's crying. So I didn't understand. So I'm like, Mommy, I'm sorry. I didn't know what I did. She said, no, baby, come sit down. And she sat me down and she's like, mommy has something to tell you. And the doctor was like, Michelle, but I just see my mom just crying, just crying. I'm like, Mommy, what's the matter? Like, what's the matter? And she just turned to me and she said, Raven, you was born with HIV. So I was like, so I did the puzzle face and I said, okay. I said, but at that time, I remember that's when like they were showing on BT when like a lot of kids from Africa was dying from HIV and AIDS. And that was the first question I asked my mom. I said, Mommy, are we gonna die? Because that's all I remember. I said I remember HIV, but that's the time when BT was showing all the little kids dying from AIDS and HIV. So that was my biggest fear of me like I'm not gonna die. So here I'm 6 years old. I understood what HIV was, but I didn't understand it. So when my doctor he's explaining to me, he said, "You do understand why you take so much medicine?" And that's when I said, "Okay, Mom, I want to learn more about who I am." And that was it. Like I just remember at the age of 6, and that was 1996.
Oh wow. Like I'm just a crybaby anyway, so excuse me, I think I'm gonna do a lot of that here. Um, so then I'm going to progress over to mommy, and because I could see where you are also learning about HIV at the same time, and that's what happened to me and my mom. Because with me being 20 and
Mm-hmm.
HIV, I never like it was never on my radar. I
Right.
don't know why, but I just wasn't going to be the person to get HIV. The messaging I had received was like I wasn't in those populations of people. So maybe I would have to worry about something different, maybe like, chlamydia or gonorrhea or syphilis, but not HIV. So when I got called back, it was sometime at the beginning of June. They called me on a Wednesday. They said, we need you to come back into the clinic. Me and mommy was both in the bed taking a nap because I was about to go to work. Like that's how close me and my mom are. We were in the bed taking a nap. And she tried to calm me down before I went. She's like, maybe you have a little bacteria, or maybe it's something that definitely not HIV. So when I got back after getting my diagnosis in that room, I cried, and I just remember saying, Mom, I got it. And she was like, what? And I was like, HIV. Like, even to say that just sounds strange to me even now, to relive those moments. And she like jumped up off of the side of the bed and she just like, no, 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 no. I just remembered her, no, no, no. And we cried together for 3 days. Like no exaggeration beyond it. 3 days. And Michelle, I heard you say when you say your spirituality, like my mom's spirituality is what carried me through the beginning days of that diagnosis. She played a song, "The Battle Is Not Yours" by Yolanda Adams. And the words in that song spoke to me so strongly. And she made a statement. I don't know if you remember this, mommy, because I call her mommy, even though I'm 34. But she she says, if I could make a sandwich and bite that sandwich after you and get HIV, then I would. Like just that testament of love. Like she wanted to support me that much that she was willing or wanted to fathom a way that she could experience this with me was powerful. And I always tell people that the love and support I received from the number one, my mom, trickling down to my family, like that empowers me to be able to come out and help other people. I don't feel like I need to be loved or accepted by one other person because I have that here. And I can feel so much of that, through all of you as well. I'm going to ask you if you could, you know, what did you feel? Because that was my perspective when I came back.
Well, as you said, you remember you had gone to the doctor. What happened was they had called her back from the clinic and told her that she needed to come in. They couldn't tell her over the phone. She needed to come into the office for them to speak with her. So before she left, we were, kind of not sure. And I did tell her, well, maybe it's just, gonorrhea or syphilis or something. Don't worry, it's not can't be that bad. The reason why we were taking a nap, I worked at night, so that's why I was asleep. I was more than napping, I was sleeping. So I worked at night. So when she got back, she woke me up, and the look on her face said it all. And I said, Sierra, what what is it? I said, gonorrhea. She said, no. Syphilis? No. She said, I got HIV. And she's right. We cried for 3 days. But after that, I said, enough crying. I know what my God has told me. I know the what the word tells me. You understand? And we're gonna live by that. And we're gonna stand on that. You understand? And that's what we did. We listened to Yolanda Adams. The battle is not yours, because the battle was not ours. And Sierra took that diagnosis and she ran with it. And I was so proud of her. Like, here, this is a child that Sierra, went years earlier than that, Sierra went through some issues and she wanted to die. I don't know if you mind me telling that story, Sierra. You know, she didn't want to live. And I was so proud after Sierra was diagnosed with HIV. Sierra more than just wanted to live. She wanted everyone else to live as well, because she started giving her testimony about her diagnosis with HIV. And the first speech she gave was she was in college at the time at University of Georgia. And the first speech she gave was at school. I was so proud of that, because she stood with her head up and her shoulders back. And she said, yes, I got this thing, but you need to get tested. You need to get tested. And the first thing she did, her she did her what is it,
My
Sierra? Her
internship.
internship at
I did
AIDS
it at AIDS
AIDS
Athens.
Athens, which is
Yeah.
Athens, Georgia. And her job was to tell people to get tested.
And
Or
I tested
and
folk.
tested people. Right. That was her. I could not believe what this diagnosis had done, and I know that the Heavenly Father had His hands on that. You understand what I'm saying? He had His hands in that and on that,
Well,
and I love
thank
my
you
daughter
so
so
much.
much for that. You understand? I love her so much for that. She not only want to live, but she want others to live as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love yo. Okay, so then you thank you, Mom. I don't know. Without getting emotional and stuff, I'm gonna just keep it business. So we're going on to Lynette and Karen. So these dynamics are a little different. So Karen didn't birth you, this is someone whose son chose you. And I'm interested to know how much Karen knew about HIV before you, Lynette, what came into her life, and what that has looked like, developing that relationship over the past few years.
Well, go ahead, Mom. I'll let
Uh,
you share that part.
well, ironically enough, I met Lynette prior to Daniel and Lynette being, I'm going to say boyfriend and girlfriend. They're married now, but I'm going to say boyfriend and girlfriend. When I met her and got to know her, ironically enough, I asked him, so why aren't you two together? And a couple of days later or so, he kind of disclosed that um, Lynette was HIV. And I can honestly say I didn't personally know what that meant or what that would mean, on the grand scale of things, because of course the movies that we saw back then, that was, they weren't good movies. You didn't think anything good or positive was going to come from that particular diagnosis. So me being, my father told me years ago, if you want to learn anything, you read a book. And I'm from prior to computer age, so I started reading. I'm reading because oftentimes your children do things that um, sometimes you have to step in and say, what are you doing? Sometimes you have to, and my son was a grown man, but yes, Lynette knows me now. She likes me for who I am, I guess, because she knows I said something to him. So we actually had a sit down, drag out conversation. However, Lynette is like, she's like me. She's so much like me, down to like little minute things that is ridiculous. So in the grand scheme of things, my son went and found someone, he was so busy getting away from me that he went and found somebody just like me. Now, on the other hand, it was hard because I didn't understand how that was going to work. However, like I said, you read a book. And then Lynette and Daniel were involved in a group called the Speakers of Life. And they let me, get involved with that. And Lynette, it wasn't just me embracing her, it was her embracing me, which she didn't have to, because, people talk about how, mother-in-laws and daughters-in-laws and stuff get along. I don't think we were ever like that. I really don't think we were ever like that. I don't think she ever looked at me like that. And I'm darn sure. I mean, if you know Lynette, you love Lynette. Let's just put that aside. So we never had that typical, oh, I can't stand her, I wish my son. It's never ever been that. Because like I said, I asked him, why aren't you two together? What are you messing around with? Whatever. Why aren't you two together? So I don't know. I don't know. I love Lynette, and she accepts me. She knows I'm a nut, so but it didn't bother me until she got pregnant. Full disclosure, right? I was fearful of my grandbaby. So I did the only thing I knew how to do, and this might be something she knows, but I prayed and I prayed and I prayed. And when my baby was born, she let me come up to the hospital. And ironically enough, she took a picture of me praying over my baby, which I never even knew she took until she showed me the picture. But if you meet Koa, yeah, I mean, that's my other heart. Okay. So Koa is, HIV negative, and they're just adorable people. I just love them, and I don't want to get the crying and stuff, but I mean that's the God's honest truth. I prayed a lot. I still pray over my family, and I still pray over my son and my beautiful daughter. God didn't bless me with a daughter until I had. So, that's how that looks to me. So I hope I wasn't rambling on, and I hope you can understand what I'm saying about what my fear was. My major fear, honestly, was when she got pregnant. And I don't know if I ever said that to you, did I, Lynette? But if I didn't, that's it, Uh-oh, my son is saying.
I love your transparency, Karen. Your transparency is welcome here. I'm saying that. We embrace that because there is a reality that some of us do not discuss. We don't talk about it. And I know we all bringing it real here today.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for anybody, but I know this group of women, we bringing it real today. So go ahead, Cece.
Absolutely. It's on Lynette.
Thank you for that little break in between, Michelle, because I was like, whew, all right. Got it. All right, I'm good. Yeah. So it's different hearing it like this. So excuse me.
And Lynette's not a crier, so
Right,
now
let it out, and let it out. Don't worry.
Neither am I at all. Ever. Okay. let me just say so everybody knows that there is nothing in the world I wouldn't do for her because of how genuine and loving and giving. I could give you lists and lists, and sometimes it's not what a person has, but it's how they treat you and
Yes,
how they treat other people that you have to look at more than
yes,
anything that someone may say about them or someone may accuse them of or whatever.
definitely.
Um, and again, like I said, she accepts me, so you know we already know she has issues because she accepts me and loves me the way she does. And and if she doesn't, and you know what, I know she does. How's that? So hey, so
Yeah,
I'm not going to say anything else because some reason I'm
yeah,
getting,
that's
my
enough. That's
allergies are
enough.
bothering me.
We
Yeah.
needed that laugh. We needed that laugh. We needed that laugh.
But yes,
Yeah.
like I said, it's different hearing it this way. We talk all the time. Like it gets on Daniel's nerves because I'll be on the phone with her for hours and they're like, "Who you talking to?" "Oh, I'm talking to your mom." Like, really? All that time? Did she say hi to me at all? But but going back to that journey in the beginning with HIV. Um, so I didn't tell Daniel. I didn't even tell Daniel initially. So what mom was referring to, I I was diagnosed in 2008 with HIV. I met Daniel in 2008, and I did not disclose to Daniel until 2012. Our relationship didn't begin until 2013. So we had, what's that, 9, 10, 11, 12. We had 5 years of friendship prior to our relationship beginning. So I struggled, like most people, struggled with my diagnosis in the beginning, who to tell, how to tell, when to tell, all that kind of stuff. So it took some years for me to even disclose to Daniel, even though we had grown to best friends and then to brother and sister, which is what we called each other for a little bit too. So my fear, once I got over, okay, how do I disclose? Once I even became public with my diagnosis, I was still fearful for how people would treat Daniel as a result of him choosing me. I never wanted anyone to treat him any kind of way. I was afraid for how's your mom going to feel. Um, everybody knows we have a big blended family. I was concerned about the mothers of the children. I don't want them to try to keep the kids away. It's just been so many different aspects of it. Um, but that relationship, like I call her mom. So, like mom said, she's never treated me any kind of way at all. She's always been by my side. Every event, everything. What do you need me to do? Where can I help? Well, she does not like to just stand around and do nothing. She wants to be in it and be involved and do and help and serve. And she just has a heart to serve. And that's one of the main things that's helped me through this process. She's been very, very instrumental in this process. Even when it came to, like, I was just scared of how family was going to treat Daniel in general. And of course there were questions, of course there was fear. And even now, even me living with HIV and knowing the things that I know about HIV, if my child told me that they were now pursuing a relationship with someone living with HIV, I would be terrified. And I know about HIV. So I can only imagine from that perspective where you don't have that education. So, I love that she's always open to learn. I love that she's always open to ask questions and she knows that I'm open to answer the questions. So, we can have these authentic conversations. And that's where a lot of the stigma is eliminated. These genuine,
Yeah.
authentic conversations with people and removing that fear of how do I ask this question? Just go ahead and ask the question however you think, however it comes to you. And if I need to correct the language around it, I'll do
Right.
that. But just ask the questions.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
one of the things that I always tend to say about Raven, you know, she knows nothing about being negative. This, this woman was born with HIV. And I always sit back in my mind as her mom and I look at her and I said, my God, the courage that she has, because from the point of me disclosing Raven, and Raven was the first person in our family unit. I do have a son, a wonderful young man. He's 35. They had different dads. So I contracted HIV through Raven's father. And, to know the dynamics that played out, here I had to raise this kid at one point in time. I had to get Raven to take 36 different pills in one day. This was the dosage of what they were giving children. And it had to be pills because she was not drinking the liquid.
It was
I
nasty.
tasted it. It tasted like gasoline. And yes, I could say gasoline because as a teenager, I attempted suicide and I drank paint thinners. So I know what that taste is, and it's just, it amazes me. It amazes me. And I am really, really, I have to say, I allow Raven to be herself. And I truly believe, that's what, we educated our family. Her as a kid, because disclosing to Raven got me to the point where education is what's going to help you through this.
Right.
I knew nothing about living with this, about, raising a child with HIV. Still today, myself and my sister, we have these deep conversations. And she would say to me, I don't know how the fuck you did it, but you did it. So,
And
Look,
I just I'm sorry, sister. Go ahead.
yeah, it's about the time to yeah, it's for you anyway. So, with you being diagnosed so young and everything, this was a question from one of our CAD members who was born with HIV as well. How does hearing about others losing their parents slash children to the virus impact your perspective? So, especially because it was so early on, how how do you navigate that space with Raven?
Um, well, I did lose a lot of friends. Even recently, I lost a friend. So I still, that it tells me that I still have work to do within my community. And a lot of people ask me, Raven, how you got to be so strong and so like, you know, I always say either accept me for who I am or there goes the door. I don't got time for the boo boo, the either accept me for who I am and there goes the door. But it took a while for me to be like that. And I thank my mom. Like, she's really my backbone. Like, that's really my first lady. That's really my queen. And I really thank her a lot because, as I said, we both educated each other. And I was a kid growing up. I was always a happy kid. Like my mom, that she always made sure I was happy. She always treated me like a normal kid. Like, I want to give Raven the normal lifestyle. I don't want her to be. And I told my mom, I don't want to be that kid where, oh, she's sick. Let's be her friend. Let's care for her. No, I'm a regular kid. I could do anything what anybody could do. There's nothing different about me. And that's what I always used to say. I always used to stand my ground with that. Like, there's nothing different about me, man. Like, why is people doing this stuff to me? Growing up in my childhood, I got stigmatized a lot. Like, a lot of people made fun of me because, I did stuff like on the 17 magazine. I was on the Oprah Winfrey show. And, I didn't do this to be like to do the famous. It's because I wanted people to understand, just because you have HIV, cancer, whatever, don't think that you're less or less than somebody. You still can be who you want to be today. If you got one eye, you can still be somebody. You got one leg, you can still be somebody. So I wanted to show people, just because I have an illness, mommy, I want people to understand I could still run, I could still play Barbies, I could still have, I could still go to Disney World, I could still have friends. And me being like that, it caused me to get stigmatized a lot. I always talk about this one incident, like, when I was in the third grade, I think it was the third grade. I had like really long hair, and my mom used to always do my hair up nice. And the girl, she said, "You're gonna die soon, so let me cut your hair." And she literally cut my hair. And I came home, and my mom was like, "Raven, what did you do? Why did you cut your hair?" And I'm like, "Mommy, I didn't cut my hair." I'm like, "The girl told me that I'm gonna die, and she cut my hair." So that was like a whole big thing. And then when my mom went to school, to the school to speak to the school teachers, And they was like, well, if you wasn't so public with your daughter, maybe things like this wouldn't happen to her.
Wow.
So I'm like, wow. So when I seen that, and then I started feeling bad because it's like I was like, oh my God, I'm born with this. And remind you, my brother, I have a brother, he's negative. So he was in school, he was going through things because y'all not gonna sit here and beat up on my sister and be and making fun of her all the time. So it was like a hard thing for us to grow up with that. And I was beating up on myself because I'm like, oh my God, I'm causing problems. But at the end of the day, I want people just to accept me for who I am. Like I'm a girl that was born with HIV. What's the first word in HIV? Human. So I'm human. So what the like I was really confused of growing up, but my mother always ensured to me, Raven, you was born with this. You didn't ask for this. You don't know what it feels like to be negative. So it's like, you know what? When she said that, I'm like, you know what, Raven? She's right. You gotta show people just because I got this, I can still be who I want to be. And I thank God that, my mom instilled that to me because look, I'm about to be 32 next month. I got a 6-year-old boy. He's negative. Lord, I love motherhood and I thank God his father is negative. My son he's so healthy. He's the best. And do I plan on having more babies? Yes, I do. And it's just like, as I said, education made me get to where I want to be. Like, and that's why I said, like, education, therapy, God, and my mom. Those are the people that got me where I want to be in life today. Because at the end of the day, I'll be damned if someone try to stigmatize me today, or I'll be damned if someone try to give the wrong information about HIV. Because baby, this is 2022. There's no way. There's no way you don't know about HIV. It's no way. It's no way.
Right.
No way.
Thanks, Joe.
Sometimes they know and they just don't want to accept
Acknowledge
it or
it.
act like
Yeah.
they know. They don't want to acknowledge it. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just that I try to tell people it's not how it was back in the days where your death sentence where you gotta be like, oh my God. I want
Right.
people to accept it as, you know what, okay, so what I gotta do to live longer now? Like, all right, I got HIV. It's not, oh my God, I gotta spend time with my family. Then no, I want people to be like, you know what, okay, I got HIV. What's the pills? What's the pills that's out? Because baby, all these pharmaceutical companies, we got HIV. Come on, we got to keep it going. I mean, but not everybody could be like that. But I want people to be strong in that mindset. HIV is not a death sentence no more, people. We could have babies. We could breastfeed. We could do so much things. We almost there. We're almost there. So I want
Come
people.
on, Raven.
I'm just so tired
Yeah.
of people, making like HIV. Oh my God, I got HIV. No, there's no more sad stories, y'all. I got HIV and I'm on this pill and I can have a baby and I could do whatever. Let's go.
That's right.
And if nobody can accept you for who you are, then to hell to be with them. You still living. God got you here for a reason, right? So look how
That's
many
right.
years, so you gotta from now on, it's no more negativity. Like, don't look at it as a negativity. And even if you come from a battered home, even if you come from homelessness, even if just look at yourself and you look up in the sky and say, God, you know what? I got HIV, but guide me the way of why you gave this to me. Why did I get it? It doesn't matter if you caught it through sex. It doesn't matter if you caught it through drugs. You always just say, what is my next path of me to live longer? That's it.
Period.
Amen.
Oh my
Amen.
God. Okay. Look, this could be like 2 hours worth of an
But
episode. Like,
this should have been a special edition one. But we need a
so
part
deep.
two.
And I'm getting my life all the way over here. Thank you so much, Raven.
You're
Oh my
welcome.
God. I don't even know which way I want to go. So let me see the next question, because like I said, we get our questions from our community advisory board members who have been so participatory in this, and they had so many great things that they wanted to discuss, but y'all answering it all. Let's see.
Mhm.
I
So, Mom, I want to ask you, I don't know, I'm glad to see that you're back. So I hear how Michelle was able to like encourage Raven. It was like staying true who you are, HIV is a piece of you, da 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 da. But then when I come out and I want to be public about my status, mommy's fear and her stigma, whatever she may have known about, HIV, that got in the way a little bit. She wanted to know why I needed to tell people. Why was this anybody else's business? And I, with this being my biggest support, now I have my biggest support telling me to be quiet to protect. I understand it was out of protection. So, Mom, how were you able to remove your feelings from the experience
I
and to
guess,
support me?
I guess just, listening to you and learning from you and understanding, the whole, the reason why you were the reason, you know what I mean? As you learned, I learned. But yes, you're right. At first, I was like, why do you have to tell people? Because I remember a situation where um, something that happened in Milledgeville in Georgia. Someone was in her school setting said something negative about her, and she was really sad about it. And of course, it makes me sad to see my baby sad. And the whole answer to that for me was, don't tell people, then they can't say anything to you, and she started letting me know, no, Mom, I have to. I can't let those people stop me. So I understood. Like I said, she learned and I learned. And that was that. But at first, I just was out of protection for my child. I didn't like to see her hurting. She had the diagnosis. That was one thing. But for somebody to say something out of the way to hurt her, be it HIV, be it whatever hang up she had, I fought for that. Don't say nothing to hurt my child, not my baby. No.
Right.
And Carol, if I
Oh.
may, I gotta say this to you. Cece
Hmm.
got the virus. She has, and she's living with HIV.
Yes.
Right.
Not HIV. So a lot of times when I hear it, you're saying these things in love, but I gotta address it because people is part of the stigma that's driving.
Yeah.
It's driving this. When they say, "Oh, there she is," she's HIV. No, honey, I'm living with a virus called HIV, and it's very much under
Right.
control. So
Mhm.
Right.
what's that?
I always
This
say
is how
that.
I take it. So
Yes.
I
Right.
love your love. Go ahead, ma.
I always tell people that
Yeah.
too. HIV don't control me. Mm-mm.
Right.
Nope. I'm
And
a
see,
outdo. I'm a outdo HIV. That's what I tell people. I be telling all my friends. I have positive friends. Listen, you put in your mindset you're gonna outdo HIV. Okay, that's
period.
it. Like, ain't
And I
no.
tell people as
Mm-hmm.
well, it just kind of like changed the way I had to move a little bit. Like,
Yes.
being diagnosed so young, like I still was able to do all of the things I wanted to do. My
Right.
first question was, could I have kids? I love that, we've all three been able to have kids, all four of us, excuse me, been able to have children while living with HIV because it can definitely happen. I love
Can I
that you
ask a
shouted
crazy
out
question? Do y'all still get questions like how it happened? Like, and
how
I'm
you get pregnant.
yeah.
I
Do
hate
y'all
that.
get that question?
Yeah, like, how did you get pregnant?
Exactly. I'm like, so I ask,
Same way
I'm
you
like,
got
so
pregnant.
where do babies come from? Like, I get that same question all the time. Or they ask my mother whisperly, and my mother be like, my child is 31 years old. Y'all better ask her herself, because I'm like, excuse me, people. Yes, I have sex, and my mother and I talk. I said, I'm not no little kid. Like, y'all could ask me in front of my mother.
I
I
don't do
said
that. I don't do that stuff, Mom.
sex, penis. Like, my mother knows. Like, I don't understand. But people, I'm like, how y'all think babies? No, I did not get no turkey baster and think that because I have no, no. I have sex. Y'all like to feel pleasure. I like to feel pleasure too. I'm human. That's
That's a
it.
whole
Okay.
topic on its own.
Yeah.
HIV and
Right.
sexual pleasure. Like, look,
Exactly.
y'all, we could do this all day. I'm here, like the theme of protection. I've heard it through all three, pairings. Whether that was Karen's protection of her son or grandchild, mommy's
Mhm.
protection of me. I want to go. Mommy's so protective that I used to have to wear a bang my entire childhood to cover my forehead because she did not. Like, you see, I've grown out of it at this point now. I've accepted all things about me, but just that
Mhm.
protection, and how overbearing it can be
Yes.
sometimes. Like, I feel like children can be so resilient, at the same time they can be so mean. But a lot of times we project our insecurities or misinformation onto them. And I'm
Yes,
so grateful that
yes.
you got three strong, women on here. Michelle, you in there too, because you birthed it and you was able to continue. Like
No,
that
all
had,
that's
I can
true.
only imagine that situation.
It's
Mm-hmm.
fear.
Um,
Fear got me to come out. Fear got me, because I was like, Jesus God, this is shit is real. I got it. Raven got it. I had to stop with my family because I used to hear comments from family members
Yes.
about people with living with HIV. I remember my family, being so taboo. So we had to educate. Charity begins at home and it ends abroad. So I had to stop at home first. And again, coming from a Caribbean family, oh my goodness. Still to this day, it got the naysayers. But honey,
Yes.
they can't stand it. They
Yes.
cannot stand how Raven and me is living our best lives, living
Mhm.
HIV. Oh,
That's
Mhm.
Yes.
right.
I talk about this one instance too that I was in a 6 year off and on relationship, and the reason why we're not together now is because he had disclosed to his family and told his family that I was HIV positive. And when he told his family that, do you know that they bought new furniture, new utensils, they bought everything new? And I said, you know what? Since because they're Jamaican, they was Jamaican and Chinese, they was like the upper class. So I looked at him because every time he like his mom would have called, he would be like, Mom, I'm with my friend right now. So I'm like, you're not with no, excuse my language, you're not with no fucking friend. Like, you're not gonna sit here and try to shame me. Cause as I said, either you're gonna accept me for who I am, or there goes the door. So every time, like, his mom would call, or every time he was around me, he would get so nervous. So I said, you know what, sweetheart? So since it's so wrecking for you, I said you should never have told your parents or whatever. If you knew how your parents was, this is your mistake. This is your miss out. Peace out, figure your life out, and I'm gonna live mine. And while we broke up, God blessed me, and I got pregnant the year after, right after we broke up. Because
Yeah.
when we
Oh.
were in a relationship, he used to say, "Oh, something is wrong with you. You're not getting pregnant. Maybe because you HIV positive." He used to say little things to me like that. And I used to say, let me not say his name. I used to say, that's not true. But after a while, I did try to. After a while, I started contradicting. Like, is true? Maybe I can't have no kids. I'm like, damn. I'm like, because we wasn't using protection, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't get pregnant. Like, what's going on?
But
And
you see, but you see how God protects us
yes,
through stuff like that. So like
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
even when I think about the relationship that I was in when I contracted HIV,
right.
we had
Mm-hmm.
unprotected sex the entire time, and I never got pregnant. So
You
I was
see?
just so grateful for that not
Right.
to happen, because God only knows what would have happened later on
Yeah.
down the line, but
Transpiring.
he
Mm-hmm.
he knows our path. He knows exactly what it is that we're supposed to do. He knew that I was,
Right.
supposed to end up with Daniel. I was supposed to have a mother-in-law who's as kind and as
Yes.
caring as Karen.
Oh.
um, because I don't know how life would have been in that situation. So, Daniel was the one who pushed me to speak, who
Woo,
pushed me
woo,
to
go
write my
Daniel.
book,
Woo,
who
woo.
pushed me to start my nonprofit and do all of those things. Because prior to that, it was like I couldn't be myself in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
out of fear of it was situations where it was two different situations that I could definitely highlight. So one situation I was in well, I call them situationships. I
Yes.
was in a situationship where he's like, okay, yeah, we can be together, but I know you want to do this whole public HIV thing. So go ahead and do that. So don't tell anybody that we're together. We cool though, but don't tell nobody that we're together. So then I had another experience where it was like, sure, you could tell everybody that we together. We could take all the pictures, post them on the gram, and so on and so forth. But don't talk about HIV. I don't want you to do any speaking engagements, none of that stuff. So I'm so blessed and so glad to now be in a relationship where I can fully be
Amen. That's
myself. And
right.
you guys, I'm sure if you follow me on social media, y'all can see I post pictures all the time. Me and Daniel. Daniel's like he's right there. If he's not right there
Hello.
beside me while I'm speaking, he's there right in the front taking
Tracking.
pictures,
Mhm.
and things like that. So it's like you have to find that person. First of all, before you find that person, you have to find that space within yourself and find that love within yourself
That's
for
right.
yourself,
Yes.
because I would have never been able to find a partnership, to find a person who loved me if I didn't first love myself.
Yes.
So I had to get to that place where I love myself in all of me, because like you guys said, HIV doesn't define me, but it is a part of me. So I had to learn how to love that part of me too. So once I learned how to love that part of me and all parts of me, I was able to find someone who loved all parts of me as well. So that's also important. You got to love yourself
That's a key
in every aspect of yourself.
That's a key point in life. Love yourself before you can love anybody. That's
Yeah.
a key point in life.
Period. So, I go back to my little bang example. Once I'm going to accept the ways that I was created. Some things you have control over, some things you don't have control over. And I realized it was going to be a little harder to try to navigate through in silence. That would make me miserable. I'm an open book. Like, I really like to help people. I really like to use my experiences to help other people, not have to make those same decisions if they don't want to. And acceptance of all things that comes with CC, and definitely has led me to, wonderful people, women like you all. This has been a phenomenal talk. I think, Raven, we could listen to you talk all day. Karen and Lynette, I love y'all's dynamics. And I stay on the phone with my mom all day anyways. So I just love, the love that I've been able
I want to propose to have a chat at some time with some of our,
Yes.
some of the baby fathers. The ones who are negative, because people really, really do not get it. When a man
Yeah.
or a woman, I'm in a same gender loving relationship. I'm a bisexual woman. My partner is a woman, and I love her to the moon and back. She's a piece of work, but I can work it out. But when a negative person makes a decision, okay, and they decide, trust me, it's because they have looked at, you know, what am I going to have to deal with?
Yes.
Is going to want to stigmatize me too. And for me, these different things are so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
When a negative person makes that decision to be with you, because they're not just seeing HIV, with Raven's baby's father, I was kind of, I'm being honest, I was kind of scared when she, disclosed to me, because yes, Raven loved the bad boys. And this was a red, strong, man.
hey, y'all.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember talking to the man about PrEP. I said, I know you know that Raven is positive, but there is a prevention that you can take just in case there's any accidents. He said, Mommy, it have no accidents. We having a baby. And me want my baby and me love Raven. I mean, the man,
Wait, this a Jamaican or a Trini?
he's a
Jamaican.
I heard the accent switch. My
man.
dad's Jamaican.
He
But
is Jamaican. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Full rank Jamaican, and they are the most taboo. They are the most discriminatory people within the Caribbean cultures, I believe.
Yes.
And to know how he dealt with this, oh my God, he cried when Raven broke up with him. He cried. He said, Mommy, why she leave me? Why she leave me, Mommy?
Hey, Sierra, we
Yeah.
know
When they
why.
get to that point, I'll be like, Ma, you deal with that. I don't got time for that. Like, you deal with the breakup. I'm done. You deal with the breakup. And
He
she's like,
did.
that's just how my daughter is.
Yes,
Alright.
and he had to deal with his family, So I really want to propose. I don't know, if we can make
Let's
it
have another
possible.
talk.
But for people who are in discordant relationship, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I give my hats off to them.
Yes.
I really do, because there is a lot that they have to deal with too. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we touched on that a little bit because we recognize the importance of those sterile discordant
Right.
relationships. We did that a couple lives ago where Lynette and Daniel actually sat down and spoke about their
Oh,
marriage and how that evolved into what it is.
I got tuned in.
Beautiful.
Darn.
I
Okay.
need to remind everyone, please, the survey link is inside of the chat. If you could just take a moment, complete that. We would so greatly appreciate that. I thank you all so much for joining me on this episode. We've reached our hour, even
Thank
though to
you.
me it don't feel like we made it. It hasn't seemed this
Yes.
long.
I gotta
I
say,
would
Miss
love for us
Karen
to
and
have
Miss
like another
Carol,
group. Yes.
God bless you all. God bless, and I thank
You
you all
too.
in our circle. You know, Lynette girl,
Thank
you
you, Cece.
You're so
right.
Lennon,
welcome.
I'm about to add you on Facebook.
You know, that's what I'm saying. We have taken lemons and we have made some great lemonade.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You know what? It felt like I should smell coconut oil or something. Like y'all just giving me real vibes.
Yeah.
Thank, thank
But
you
I
all
really hope
so
that
much
was
for joining us
yes.
for the
Thank you
19th
that tuned in.
episode
Yes.
Thank
of the Well
you.
Projects, A Girl Like Me Live. Please join us again next month for our next episode. Stay tuned for
Mm.
exactly what that is and who we will be inviting on at that
Definitely.
moment.
Okay.
I thank y'all
Lynette,
so
keep up
much
the
once
great
again
job. I love.
for
I was
being
looking
here.
at some of your clips with what you're doing. Oh, girl, do it,
I
do
Mhm.
it,
just did
do
it
it.
like
Just
that. There you go.
Mm.